A few weeks back, we decided to throw a party, but first, tractors had to go, piglets had to go, and some hard work had to be done. Hey folks, something a bit different today. It's demolition time. We are just going to take down this set of barriers here, where the cows used to feed through. I'm hoping that if I cut them either end, I can drop that out, and then I'll have to deal with these after we knock the block work out. See if I can do it with a 9-inch grinder. I can get to almost all of it. Do with a face shield actually, but all I've got is a chainsaw mesh one. That's worked fine. So I've cut through the bottoms, both corners. I just need to do the top. Well, I've got the last 10 mil on top of both, and then hopefully it'll fall away from me. So if I clear the ground this side, it can go doing, doing, and then we can drag it out of the way. Quite thick steel. So I think it's just cut and repeat for the next one. Then we've got a few bits to unbolt on this one. It's funny, isn't it? I've been putting this job off for over a year and a half, thinking it'd be a massive undertaking and I didn't have the know-how to do it, but well, I think we've been at it 10 minutes. Obviously these got to get smashed out. I haven't got a breaker on the digger, but I've got arms and a sledgehammer and a breaker, handheld breaker. So hopefully we can chip those down low enough. I think they're just sat on the slab. So we'll try and chip them so it's smooth. And then we'll need to take our attention to the verticals, which might be a bit tricky. But anyway, let's crack on. Right, I've gone and given myself a bit of a pep talk. I'm feeling older lately. I know it happens, but I'm pretty sure I used to be able to just swing a sledgehammer for hours on end and feel fine. I'm a bit tender after yesterday, doing a load of fence posts and stakes and things like that. told you I'd start feeling old. I'm going to leave the rest, we've got 3 bars left, 3 seals left to cut in the morning. And then I'm going to grind them down. Now on the other side, they used to be the same, which was gone well before we got here. That barrier was kind of broken out, but not chipped flat with the floor. So what I'm going to do is go along there with the breaker tomorrow, get that smooth. But where I've broken off that bottom course, some of it's dipped down a little bit. So I think in those places, rather than have a trip hazard for the next 6 months before we actually start the build, I might just get a loose mix of concrete or even just some self-leveling and just screed that in there. I think it'd be worth doing because kids will be on their go-karts and all sorts and someone's going to go over. And I'll get the rest of that rubble down the end, load it into the dumper, and we'll tuck it away somewhere for a future day. Funnily enough, this video was meant to be all about plasma cutting. And I'd picked up a plasma cutter while I was away in France, bizarrely. And that was going to be my tool of use for the bases, so I could cut it off really flat. But really flush with the slab. But actually, a 9-inch grinder with a nice thin blade, carefully cut in, you can almost cut flush anyway. And then I've got some grinding discs that I can just make sure that there's no sharp bits or nothing protruding. So plasma cutting might have to wait for another day. I've got all the cabling and everything ready for it, all the gear and no idea, so we'll have to save that. Maybe I'll just set up a little test bit in the workshop and just see how that tool works. But anyway, bring on tomorrow. Right, it is demolition day 2. Now I feel like I've probably only spent about half a day on this already, so really pleased with progress. Like I said yesterday, no need for the plasma cutter, so I'm going to grind out these 3, and then it's going to be a bit of a clear up. Now we've been trying to work out what to do with all this rubble. A lot of it broke down fairly small, but if these bits were just a little bit smaller, then I actually need a load of backfill where it's just really swampy the other side of the brook. Otherwise, we all know what's going to happen. They're going to sit in a pile outside for 2 years before anything gets done with them, and they'll probably have to get moved 3 times before that as well. So let's try and find a solution right at the beginning. I don't think it's ever looked as tidy as this since the day we moved in. And it's certainly wider and more open now as well. So I'm going to try and get all this loaded up into Humpty Dumpty and then see if he can get through the brook and up the slippery slope the other side. Well, this place has never looked so clear, empty and spacious. I needed to do a final clear down, hose everything down, give it a bit of a pressure wash, and then I was able to see what I needed to do to make the whole thing smooth and safe, because a few days after this, it was time for a party. But before that, we had to fund the drinks bill. So I managed to get these sold. I think we sold them for £200 in the end, all these feed barriers. So they were collected. Once they were gone, there were some very last minute preparations. This is only 5 minutes, well, half an hour before people started arriving, and there's me angle grinding next to hay bales. Not ideal, but we got it all smooth, and by the time it came to the evening, no one knew. No one knew what had been going on hours beforehand, and the whole evening was a great success. Now, none of this really relates to the barn conversion in any way. That was a freestanding item which didn't feature in any of the plans. So we're not actually starting yet because we're still ironing out all of the details and previous plans and future plans for the barn. So we're going to park this nice empty space so we can store things in it and use it where needed. But hopefully it will remain a blank canvas ready to kickstart probably in early next year when we start everything. But for now, there we go, demolition done, everything's cleaned up, and it's a job that for once I started and finished. And we can tick the box, it's done. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.